this video I wanted to cover real quick. A video I made last night about the ratings at CNN and MSNBC are just in the fucking tank. All right. And there is no recovery. People are done watching those networks. Right. There simply is no way that they can recoup their lost viewership. And I just came across an interesting article because the unfortunate side of that is that a lot of those viewers are going over to Fox News to be manipulated and lied to by scumbag fake libertarians like Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly. And the reason that I deplore these people so much is because what they do is they use credibility as a weapon. And we'll talk about Glenn Beck very quickly, is he'll tell a lot of the truth about a certain subject, but then at the pivotal juncture, he'll spin it, right, to go along with the official line. And O'Reilly does a lot of the same. And it's more dangerous than just outright lying, like Chris Matthews. If you watch him for a couple minutes, you know, I'll give him this much. At least he's honest about being a pinko commie. At least he's upfront about it. And then, of course, when the blatant outright lies and demonizations of entire segments of the population comes into play, he's done. So that's the difference between being an outright liar and using credibility as a weapon. And that is exactly what they do over at Fox News. Now, I find a lot of clips on YouTube because I don't watch the television, the cable news. I absolutely refuse to expose my mind to their programming, right? The commercials, all that shit. But I do find some interesting news from Fox News on a regular basis, all right? You can find legitimate news on their website and on YouTube. But when it comes to O'Reilly and Beck and the fact that people are fleeing, right, the so-called liberal leaning CNN and MSNBC, but they're just going over to Fox News to be brainwashed in a different format, all right? And I invite people to learn to read again. You know, that's just a theory I have. But I just came across an article, and I'm going to put the link in the description. And it is exactly what I'm talking about when I deplore the mainstream media in general, specifically Fox News, is that what they do is they actually take talking points from Alex Jones, right, and other alternative, which is becoming the new media, right, talking points, and wash them to make themselves sound like they're down with the populist anger, sound like they actually aren't a Republican or a Democrat and they're middle of the road. But in the end, Beck goes and brings the Tea Party back in line with Sarah Palin. You know, so it's fundamentally simple. It's so easy to spot, all right? But people continue to fall for it. So in an act of desperation, they cling to fucking idiots like Glenn Beck. He's not a journalist. He's not a newsman. He's not an entertainer. He's not a TV personality. He's just some dumb fuck that gets paid a lot of money to manipulate people. So this article goes into how Fox News trolls Infowars.com and in their and actually looks for comments that they can use to try to label Alex Jones and just that entire swath, which is growing exponentially, of the Infowar as having radicalized elements at the very least. There's, you know, that there's hate groups and militia members are involved. Now, let's make no mistake. There's always going to be some radicalized fraction of any following. Okay, let's not fucking delude ourselves. Right? That's just the way it is. There's always going to, yes, there are some racist and hate groups in the Tea Party which have latched onto it to try to push their agenda to make their voices known. Okay, so let's not mince words. But the point here is that the article goes into describing how Alex Jones doesn't call for violence, ever. All right, he has said repeatedly, though, if you come and take my guns or you come into my house and threaten my family, you're going to get it. And he has every right to defend himself. So I've been listening to Jones for his radio show for over a year now, and I've been on his website for many years, and I've never seen him make a call for violence. I've never heard of it. Okay, and so what they're doing is they're taking comments from people that come to the forum, who could be anybody, right? In anonymity, it's the internet, and they try to take these particular comments and try to, like I said, paint everybody with the fucking brush. And what's interesting about it, to me at least, is the fact that they're actually taking information from Jones, right? Because now he's hooked up at Drudge Report, right? And they're spinning it and then demonizing him at the same time, right? And that is just the ultimate fucking slap in the face. And I've been watching this go on for a while now. So I'm going to put the article in the description. Definitely read it. Mainstream media has had it. All right, MSNBC and CNN are done. Fox News needs to be the next one to fall. People need to just go to the internet to look for information. And if some of that information is, on foxnews.com, right? They have breaking news there. So be it. But the point is these personalities, these Glenn Beck and O'Reilly types, stop buying into their bullshit. Read. Try to be objective. Read print on paper, on the screen. All right? Make up your own mind about it. Don't have someone tell you. Try to figure it out for yourself. All right? It's not too hard. But interesting article. And at the very last point, it just goes on to talk about how even though they continuously try to demonize and accuse Jones of being like the head of this burgeoning militia movement, Hatriot movement is what they're calling it, right? A piece of shit Potok over at the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Every time I see him, every time he's on one of their shows, their ratings tank. That guy's like box office poison for CNN and NBC. They see this guy on there, right? And he's calling everybody a bunch of racists. And he's had to recant a little bit, so they don't watch those shows anymore, all right? And they're basically trying to say that Jones is the leader of this call for violence or whatever, which is not true. And then Jones, of course, points out that it was CNN, MSNBC, not so much back then, and Fox News, who were pushing the propaganda for the war criminal scumbag Bush administration and the millions of dead people as a result. And of course, pushing for the attack on Iran, which is going to result in millions of dead Iranians. All right? And that doesn't include people exposed to radioactive fallout in Pakistan and India and eventually in the United States and how they can be harmed. So he basically points out, you're the one that is calling for violence. All right? Fox News is the one calling for violence against a sovereign nation. So totally, it's fundamentally simple to understand, okay? They steal his information, right? The information that's syndicated through his website. They wash it, and then they attack him on the other end. All right, just an ultimate fucking slap in the face. Check out the article. Stop watching that fucking cable news, too.